Hello. I want to talk about a particular kind of intolerance that has been creeping into British universities in the last sort of 3, 4 years or so. May go back further than that, in fact, but it's been really palpable in the last sort of half decade. And not just in British universities, in American universities as well, and Canadian, and probably across certainly the Anglo speaking world. Um, So I want to talk about a particular case in the broader issues. Oxford University's Equality and Diversity Unit has found themselves in hot water because they had guidelines on how to avoid racist racist microaggressions, as they termed it. And part of this was that students who did not make eye contact were guilty of making racist microaggressions. Now, what this undertook was that students with autism, um, it didn't take into account that one of the side effects of autism is a difficulty in making eye contact with the person that you're speaking to. I've known a few people with autism, and that I would definitely concur that is an issue. But not just with autism, it also is something that people who suffer serious anxiety have a problem with. To people who don't understand it, it can certainly seem rude and irritating, but what people need to understand is that this is a genuine condition. So, for Oxford University's diversity and equality unit to project racism into this is smearing autistic students with that label. Anyway, it attracted controversy. Oxford University had to apologise. Um, what's often significant about these things is the university as an institution apologises. It's not the first time it's happened. There's been similar incidents at other universities. So it isn't the Equality and Diversity Unit that's apologising, it's Oxford University. They have sort of amended their position and said we should have considered this and etc. But notwithstanding the apology, there is a deeper issue going on here. And it's something that's been going on, like I say, for a number of years. It is these sort of moves that are masquerading as equality moves as tolerance, which are in fact the polar opposite. Now, the irony about this case is that they obviously felt that they were doing something right in terms of diversity, but they've ended up looking like the bullies. They've ended up smearing autistic students as racists. Um, and I think it comes down to a real problem that has been going on within the NUS of really deeply intolerant narratives, if I could put it that way, because you have these units of student bodies, and it isn't the entire student body. That's something I want to really say is important to emphasize because not every single student in Britain is an overly sensitive, politically correct sort of person who wants to always find a sinister form of bigotry in everything. However, there is a very, very intolerant undercurrent that is doing that. Call them regressive left, call them politically correct, call them what you will, but clearly there is something going on here. And what's sad about this is that universities are supposed to be places of knowledge, of debate, of education. Oxford University is one of the world's great institutions, and yet this is seeping in. It's hijacking any real sort of dialogue, and it's really unfortunate that it's developing this way. And it isn't just Oxford, and it isn't just the UK. It's been seen at Berkeley very much in recent years. Um, I mean, to be fair, Berkeley's probably always been political on some level. Um, there's always been political movements involved in student bodies going way back. Um, but there is a particular sensitivity that you see today that I think is unique, that is a new phenomenon. And that troubles me because, particularly in Oxford, the sort of people who are coming up with this sort of jargon and basically inventing words to add to their trajectory of offence. These are the people who will be the politicians, the judges, the lawyers of tomorrow. And that's concerning because this is, as I see it, a war on free expression. And it is really a form of thought control, masquerading as tolerance. If you're really going to be triggered or find microaggression in the way that someone looks, um, over someone's body language, I think that is utterly absurd. Now, if this equality and diversity unit were actually acting on legitimate cases of hardcore racism, i.e., if students found that they really felt they were being bullied or discriminated against, absolutely there would be a cause to act on that. But by coming up with these socio psychological narratives that most actual psychologists, most actual sociologists completely shun as ridiculous, what certain student bodies are doing is creating incredible awkwardness. So when they come up with safe spaces, which actually originally had worthy intentions, because that was to stop legitimate bullying going on, but it's now taken a very ugly form whereby I get the impression that students today are walking on eggshells, literally, which is a British expression that means you have to be very, very careful what you say. It's 1984, and these politically correct control freaks are, in my opinion, getting out of control. So, in a way, I'm pleased that this has backfired. I'm pleased they've got a lot of criticism, but it won't be the last time we see something like this. And it concerns me because they feel that they can be complete control freaks. And it's bad enough in a university campus. But like I say, these are going to be the politicians, the lawyers, the professional people of tomorrow. And if they're bringing that sort of control freak mindset into the outside world, it has actually quite troubling repercussions. So they need to be challenged, and they need to be told really that by being super sensitive, by trying to find sinister overtones in every single thing that you don't like, whether it be racism or sexism or homophobia or any other form of bigotry, by trying to project those serious problems into so called microaggressions, what you're actually doing is showing yourself to be utter control freaks. Um, and that's a form of bullying. That's the ironic thing. They think that they're noble and holier than thou and better than everyone else, but they're actually bullies because they're trying to control everything. They're trying to control the way people speak, they're trying to control the way people act. And the byproduct of this is that we're no longer going to see debate in university campuses because people are going to be terrified of being shunned as racists or homophobes or sexist because they might say something that will offend these politically correct control police, thought control police. Um, and I think that's really sad. It's really unfortunate. So, in my opinion, these people need to get a grip and they need to understand that the real world does not work this way. There are people in this world who put up with an enormous amount without complaint, who put up with some real struggles. And then you have these spoilt, millennial, politically correct control freaks in university campuses inventing new words for their convenience to try and control other people. And like I say, it's not all students. People shouldn't assume that all students are like this. And for that matter, all millennials are like this because, I mean, I'm a millennial. I was born in 1985, so I'm technically a millennial. This is not universal. And there are a lot of young people who dislike this just as much as the rest of us. Young people in the sense of being at university age now, i.e., early 20s. But there is a real intolerance going on in university campuses. Not so long ago, the deputy head of the NUS basically spread lies about the Prevent program, which is the government's anti-terrorism program, desecrating Qurans. Now, she should have absolutely been sacked, not because I don't agree with her, but because she was maliciously spreading falsehoods. And as we know, when Islam is under attack, there is almost always a possibility of violence because there is absolutely Islamists in university campuses, no question about it. People who have sympathies with Islamist ideology. So by doing that, she was basically fanning the flames. And in my opinion, it's a disgrace that she was allowed to keep her position. Um, there's many other examples going back a number of years of the most insane political correctness that you can think of, and in my opinion, it's getting out of control. By the way, when I attack political correctness, I'm not saying people should be unpleasant, they should be offensive for the sake of it or anything like that. But these control freaks that are currently running the NUS, it's a situation that's really getting out of control because ultimately what they want to do is control everyone else's basic communication. That's dangerous. It's Orwellian, and they need to be called out on their bullshit. I'm probably going to be reprimanded by YouTube for swearing, but it does make me angry because I really sympathize with those level-headed, rational students who just want to get on with their studies and get on with the university life. And their university experience will be ruined or at least impacted by these control freaks who want to monitor and police every single thing that people say or do. And it's dangerous. People sometimes say to me, why do you not go back to university? This is why. This is why. And there's very few universities that are not touched by it, by this far left, ultra politically correct school of thought that is all about control. I detest it, and I feel it is suppressive. I feel it is controlling, and it will ruin the university experience for many students. So these people need to be called out because they're the bullies, they're the control freaks, and they need to get a grip. The real world does not work this way. By all means, tackle actual discrimination, tackle real, plausible racism, sexism, homophobia, but don't look for these problems where they don't exist. That's what I think is really problematic. Okay, let me know your thoughts, and thank you for watching. And feel free to subscribe as always. Thank you.